Hello, everybody. So nice to be back with you guys and Mark. And thank you to Joyce, who was fabulous and filled in for me while I was gone. So thank you, Joyce. All right. First of all, a little stuff. Make sure that you're muted if you're not. And if you can, put on your camera. Mark likes to see you guys. So, all right, our mission. Helping Parents Heal is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting parents whose children have passed. Through support and resources offered, we aspire to help individuals become shining light parents, meaning from a state of emotional heaviness to one of hopefulness and greater peace of mind. HPH goes a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and afterlife evidence in a non-dogmatic way. HPH affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background, and encourage open dialogue. Attendance at this meeting is voluntary. We hope that participants will learn from and share with each other. Discussions here are confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers, allowing parents to learn about many possible ways to heal. This includes presenters covering progressive topics such as afterlife evidence and connecting with children who have passed. The views expressed by our guest speakers may or may not reflect the opinions of Helping Parents Heal leaders and members, so we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. So thank you, everybody, and welcome, Mark.
Thank you, Lynn, and kudos again for helping moderate this. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to, if you can activate your video, I much prefer being able to see you, please. So I'm going to begin this evening. I kind of got directed. I feel like some of your kids are in control of my mind at this point. It was like around noon today, they started kicking in, and I've got some suspicions of who's involved, but it's a lot of fun to get that different kind of consciousness. So, and it's this. We're so sorry for what you've gone through. I know it's super tough, and at the same time, I know it's a huge path toward awakening, toward creating the greatest life you have envisioned, you referring to your soul, to helping others, to building your spiritual muscles, whole long list of benefits. And one of the biggest ones is to learn more deeply the nature of reality. You know, we're taught, and to our five human senses, we're solid. You know, I'm this old bald guy. Lynn's this hot looking young chick. Didn't you miss me teasing you? And you know, that's the way it looks. And it struck me when we were training one of our grandkids, and that's what it is, kind of earthly indoctrination. Your name is Stella. You are 3 years old. This is the color red. You know, they're kind of like earthly robots, because what's really there is the consciousness, the soul, the energy. So that's what's really going on, is one of my spiritual teachers, Ram Dass, said, the dance of energy, the only dance there is. And people from great religious teachers to quantum physicists have taught this truth about really what's going on. But as beings of energy slash souls, what are you going to do forever? Now, some churches teach you will sing Hosanna to the highest, to God, for eternity. And when I was 10 years old, now I went to Lutheran church, our minister said, someday we'll all be walking on golden streets and playing golden harps. And I thought, wouldn't that get old after a while? You know, I mean, how long can you play a golden harp? Um, so what makes me think some of your kids got involved, and I think it was a number of them, I can almost hear them chuckling. So I'm taking a shower. That's where sometimes some inspiration comes in. So I had this just like scenario play out in my mind. It might be a comedy routine someday. So here's all these souls, right? They're in heaven, the really real place, home, for eternity. No beginning, no end. That's a long time. So they're like, okay, here we are. We're in heaven. Hosanna to the highest. We're singing. And then 1,000 years later, two of them next to each other said, hey, are you getting a little tired of singing Hosanna to the highest? And the other person said, no, why? Did somebody say I was? No, I'm very, this is very important to me. So they sing Hosanna for another 1,000 years. And the other one says, yeah, I got to admit, this is getting a little old. All of a sudden, a big voice booms out of the sky. I can hear you, you know. And, that's what some people may think what the afterlife's like. Like, God, please. So you got these souls, these beings of energy, and it's forever. So what do you do when you have some spare time? You enjoy staring at a wall, or you enjoy singing the same song forever? No. You like to watch different movies, different shows, read different books, go to plays, etc., vacation to different locales. You like variety. You like to be stimulated. You like to learn and grow and serve others. I know many of you are in different ways. One of the many fascinating things we've learned from the Soul Phone Project over the years is that those who have passed on, what we call post-material persons, are not that so different from those of us on Earth. They have physicality, they can talk, they can make sounds. They retain their memory, their intelligence, their sense of humor, their love. We know from many visits from kids and from evidential mediums, they want to continue to be part of the family. They are part of the family. And they want you to know that they're there. And they've done that in so many wonderful ways. So that's what souls want to do. They want to have a variety. They want to have experiences. Well, how else to do that than to, it's one thing to watch a movie or a really good show. One that really intrigues you and has you in the middle. I mean, we just watched Mission Impossible 7 and 8 recently, and we're yelling, "Watch out! He's the bad guy!" And we really bought into that. Well, just imagine how real the experience is, and thus the potential for learning, growing, serving, etc., when it seems totally real, when it seems like a virtual reality experience. How many of you have had on virtual reality headgear and had that kind of experience? Raise your hand, please. Yeah, so a few of you. Okay. It blew my mind. The first time I did, I was like, what? What is real? I'm in this, I'm underwater, I'm looking down at my legs. I look like a mermaid. It's not something I chose, but I didn't have legs. I had a mermaid lower half. And it's like, okay, I know this isn't really real, but everything, all my senses are telling me it is. I'm underwater, I'm a mermaid. And well, it's very much the same thing we're having now. Again, to quote Ram Dass, he said, you know how you'll have a dream sometimes and then you wake up and it seems so real, it's hard to believe it wasn't? He said, wait till you wake up from this one. This dream we're having now on Earth. And people like Albert Einstein said that what we think is going on, that is that we're separate from each other, we're separate from source, that we can die, it's an optical delusion. But it's one that serves us well, because if we knew that it's all pretend, it's totally safe, we couldn't learn the lessons. And it wouldn't be as exciting, or wouldn't be as entertaining, or so on. So we as souls, we know the big picture of life, what we call the great news about the nature of reality, article number 19. No one really dies. We see our loved ones again after we pass on, and we can now. We each are integral parts of source energy. Right now, we each are here on Earth for important reasons. 10 different indications about how life is really set up. Well, keep in mind that souls then, including yourself and your kids, who choose to come down here, they know all that. They know all that very well. And so is it worth it? Say there are 25 years is like 2 hours to them in spiritual time. So is it worth 2 hours of their time to learn, grow, serve, have experiences? Of course it is, because they know the big picture of life. But then we come to earth and we forget spiritual amnesia. And then that's when it hits the fan. And it seems so real, it seems so horrible and tragic and unfair and cruel. And if you're new to this journey, I'm not at all minimizing the pain involved. I mean, I've gone through my dark night of the souls, a bunch of them, and I know we all have. But this is pretty widely considered to be the toughest of the tough when a child passes. Again, I mean, there's so many great stories I've learned over the years. This one is about a teacher from India named Kabir, Kabir, and he was teaching his students that death was an illusion. Well, then his son passed on, and he was mourning, and the students saw him afar from where they lived, crying. And one of the students came up and said, "Master, I don't understand. You teach that death is an illusion, a non-event." And Kabir said, "Yes, death is an illusion, and the death of a child is the cruelest of these illusions." So your mission, speaking of Mission Impossible, should you decide to accept it, is to remember all that I just said. And one of the big lessons we learned from interviewing all these 130 parents when we formed the Shining Light Parents Speak book is that they're still sad sometimes, and they're in shock, and they can't believe it. They wish it hadn't happened. And at the same time, they consciously choose to make their kids proud, to find the silver linings and share them with others, to create a victory from this. So that's the path, and hopefully I will not self-destruct in 10 seconds. So far, so good. So I just wanted to remind you, because you all know what I just said, because you're all eternal souls, but you may have forgotten it a little bit. So I want to remind you that. And with that, then, I invite you to ask your biggest questions and share your toughest challenges. Yes, Gina,
Oh, doctor, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, okay. I guess one of the things that I have been struggling with the most is that my daughter left two young children. One was only 1 year old. And I guess it's hard to understand. Like, I guess I can understand what I can learn from her death, but I guess it's hard to understand what the purpose is of leaving two little children without a mother.
Yep. Well, that is tough. And how long ago, or I should say that can be tough. How long ago did your daughter pass, and what's her name?
Her name is Caitlin, and she passed, it'll be 3 years in November
Okay.
from cancer.
So here's a really big one. We just talked about that we're all eternal souls. And, I'm asking you parents to remember that's the case for your kids. Well, now you have to remember it's the case for your grandkids too. So even though they have this 1-year-old disguise, persona, mask, the role they're playing, they're eternal souls too. And they quite likely signed up for this scenario because they knew that they could help, or they knew they would grow, all the reasons we do. So that gets into pre-birth planning, which we always get into pretty quickly. I discuss in an article number 25. And by the way, the the article where I talk about reasons we're here is under what's called SAGE training, and the number is number 80. So again, that's an article that reminds us why souls often come to Earth. So are you tasked, Gina, with helping care for the grandkids?
I do have a son-in-law, and he's a primary caretaker, but I do take care of them a lot. Yes, we
Yeah,
live close by.
yeah. So, that's both a joy and a lot of work, right? And you may feel sometimes like, I didn't sign up for this. Well, yeah, you probably did on a soul level. And if you're like me, once in a while you say, what was I thinking? You know,
Well, I had to start taking care of my little sisters at a very young age when my parents divorced. Then I take care of my own kids. Now I'm taking care of my grandkids, and I'm kind of like, I must have been really shiftless in my last life, and I'm making up for it.
well, that's one way to look at, or maybe you're just such a wonderful caregiver that Creator is going to put you to work any chance possible. Have you ever done the pre-birth planning session yourself? Okay, so I mentioned article number 25, and then if you go to soulproof.com/shop, you'll see the free audio programs. Let me just take a moment and screen share that, since it's so important and it can be a little confusing for folks. So here we are, soulproof.com, okay, is the home page. And if you go to articles, that's where you see the 131. I just created a new one today. Someone please stop me. I'm obviously out of control. A program we just put together, Greater Reality, Healing, Living, and Helping. But the article I mentioned, 25, pre-birth planning. Did I really choose all this? And then if you go to shop, which is a top tab, then you'll see my 8 books, which are which are all free. 4 of them are also available. The ebooks are free, the audio books for 4 of them, and then the 10 audio programs. So we're just talking about the pre-birth planning one. And so if you click on that, you'll have a chance then to download, but it's going to cost you $0.0. And so anyway, there it is. Also, while I'm here, 25 radio shows, free interviews with people like Wayne Dyer and Bernie Siegel and Brian Weiss and Raymond Moody, Michael Newton, just all kinds of amazing people. I'm so proud of these. Carolyn Mays, Anita Moore, Johnny. Gosh, there's just so much wisdom amidst these. So again, free. And then here's about the Greater Reality Living Program, which is very much like Helping Parents Heal, only it's designed for everybody. And it's for all sorts of what seem like losses, but really are changes. So anyway, now you know how to find that. So use use that pre-birth planning session and set your intention beforehand. Okay, I would like to understand why I'm going through this. I've been a caregiver, like you said, 3 generations, and then just see what pops up, floats in. And then if you have any questions afterwards, feel free to shoot me an email. And same way with all of you, mark@soulproof.com. Any other parts of your question there, dear one?
I listen to a lot of NDEs generally on podcast or YouTube, and I found comfort in it at first, but after a while I'd hear so many times like, oh, well, they asked me if I wanted to go back and I had children to take care of. And I guess I kind of felt like, why did some people get a choice and my daughter did not?
Really big question, and thank you for asking it. And the bottom line is, it was her time to go. It was time for her soul. She had done what she came here to do. And that's why it's so important. I took about 10 minutes to describe the big picture of life. And that's why it's so important to immerse yourself in that. Some of the other articles are, and I don't know that I can find them quickly right now, but there are articles about the big picture of life and the nature of reality, and use those audio products. Read the Shining Light Parent Speak book. If you haven't already, look at those videos by the parents. It's at helpingparentsheal.org website. And so you're going to have to take a little time, it's like meditation, to remind yourself on a regular basis. So from the big view of life, it all makes sense. From the earthly view, it's cruel, random, chaotic, tragic, and it means there's no God, or God's asleep at the wheel or doesn't care. But none of that is true. So,
Well, why do we forget why we're here?
well, again, we wouldn't learn our lessons if we remembered everything. And a good analogy is, imagine that you're starting a new school year, okay? You're back in junior high. And the first day, the teacher says, all right, here are all the answers to all the questions I'll ask you and all the tests this year. Honestly, do you think you'd study as much if you had all the answers up front? If you would, you're a rare person. So it doesn't make it really real. In other words, for this to seem really real and for us to learn our lessons, it has to seem like it's actually happening. But
Okay, thank you.
words fall short, and that's why for example, I keep a couple orchids behind me, and that's why it's important to spend time in nature with pets, with little kids. Those look at the night sky. I describe other centering practices in article number 77. So timeless ways to remember, because nature really shouts it. It's okay. I mean, look, what the hell? Look at these orchids. I mean, I could just spend an hour looking at those orchids. They're so beautiful. And that's just one little aspect of creation. So that's why I say this earthly experience is a totally safe, meaningful, and magnificent adventure amidst forever. And our quest is to remember that and then live accordingly. So the other thing, I can see your grief and sadness, and of course you would. Have you used the holistic breathing technique yet?
I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
I know you've recommended it.
Yeah,
Mm.
article number 70. It's in the audio program under shop. Use that, and use that when nobody's at the house. Arrange that somehow, because you're going to cry your heart out. You're going to yell. You're going to pound the mattress. But that gets all those lower energy emotions that are understandably there, anger and guilt and resentment and all that. It lets them out, so then you can fill with good ones: peace, joy, love, remembrance, gratitude, etc.
Okay, thank you.
Last thing, have you used a caring listener yet? Okay,
No,
do you know about that program?
no.
All right, let me screen share again and go to the Helping Parents Heal website. And what is that little box? Get out of there. I don't want you. I don't know what's happening. All right, look at this. I type in H and Helping Parents Heal pops up. You think I access that much? So here's the videos, by the way. If you go to the top YouTube videos, the very top one, affiliate leader / caring listener, there's me and Barbie's sister. And here's the 130 interviews. So take 30 minutes in the evening and watch these. Every one of these parents has so much to share. And then the caring listeners right here, 35 of them, just wonderful people, so smart. Oh, there we are again. Uh, so just look at their bios and find one that matches with you. Maybe someone, and I can inquire if you want, maybe someone who's in a similar position. who's helping raise grandchildren. Lynn, can you make a note of that, please, and get back with Gina? And Gina, email me, please, mark@soulproof.com, so we have your email address, and we'll share with you, because I'm sure we have one or more of these caring listeners who are in a similar situation as you. And then
I did.
while
I was
we're
gonna
at it, the other resource I will just share with you is under resources, and then shining light resources. And then Elizabeth and I put this together, all the free resources that are there. There are so many, so you can take advantage of those. Okay?
Okay, and I did join the Helping Parents Heal the Cancer group, and they just had a meeting, and it was really good.
Good.
It was
Yeah.
a small group, yeah.
Yeah, so to you and to all of you, don't suffer in silence. Don't think you have to go through this alone. We have so many people who stand ready to help, but you know, you have to reach out, and you are right now. And by the way, I remark on your energy, your color. You're even smiling a little now versus 5 minutes ago. So, way to be strong as a bear.
Thank you. I'll give somebody else a turn. I have so many more questions, but I'll let someone else have a turn.
Well, maybe you can get back in the loop here
Okay.
later. But yes, it wouldn't be an evening without a question from Marina. Where are you, Marina? And Marina is attending, by the way, the Greater Reality programs. And so she is asking questions there too. Good ones as always.
It's my job to ask questions.
I know it is, and you're doing it very well. What's your question tonight, dear one?
I have question that kind of goes in the foot of Gina's question. Why do we need to learn through pain and suffering? Why can't we learn through joy? Because I'm trying, as Gina, I'm trying to understand very hard what was the purpose of my son passing. What did I learn from this?
Yeah.
For me, it's kind of opposite. I lost my whole interest in life. I was very social. I interested in helping people. And now I'm like sitting in my house. I don't want to go out. I don't want to meet people. I want to be alone.
I understand, dear. And thank you for voicing the questions that I'm sure many people have. And one of my articles, number 29, is on suffering. The Buddha was asked, why is there suffering? He said, simple, 2 reasons, to learn and to serve. So you only suffer when you don't see the big picture of life. In other words, well, I'll just share something really personal. On Friday, I got this like GI bug, and it affected my brain, and I couldn't think. And my wife was away at the time in another city, and I couldn't think. I was trying to create a project, and I thought maybe I had a stroke, or maybe I had a cerebral aneurysm, because all of a sudden I can't think of the most basic things. And I said, well, I'll just take a nap and see how I do after that. And as I was falling asleep, I thought, you know what? I may not wake up on Earth. And I had zero fear, zero, because how much I know the big picture. And I'm not bragging. You know, I've been working on this for over 50 years, so I should understand it pretty well. But the more we understand really how life is set up, we don't suffer. Yeah, we'll be sad some, but it's like these shining light parents I mentioned. They're sad and they search how to help others, and they have high levels of peace and joy. They're some of the most amazing. So there's no doubt in my mind, Marina, that your soul chose to go through this. In other words, when you're in heaven, it's easy to know everything's fine. Tra-la-la, Hosanna to the highest. But souls choose to come on earth, because if you can remember, if you can go through this and remember more who you are and have joy in the midst of this and help others in the midst of this and remember who you really are and remember who your son really is, eternal soul, that's when you really build the spiritual muscles. And you take that with you. Those are eternal lessons that you take with you wherever you go.
But Mark, I have nowhere to go because my son passed without family. We don't have grandchildren. We don't have any relatives. This is just my husband and me, so I have nowhere to pass this.
Actually, you do though. And I'm not saying it's easy, okay? I'm not at all, and I'm not criticizing. But what people like you have done is to reach out and help others. You probably heard me tell the story. I got an email from a woman who said, I'm getting ready to pass on by suicide. My husband passed, my son passed, our dog passed. There's nobody left but me, and I can't do it. And I replied, I understand. I don't judge you. No one could blame you. However, what has worked, that's a big step to make. Before you do that, you may want to try what some people have, which is to just get out and help others. Any way that makes sense to you. Help others and feel the joy from that, feel the peace. And there was more. And then I didn't hear from her. And, I get a lot of emails like this from people. So a couple months later, I thought, well, I wonder what happened to her. And shortly I heard from her. She said, I took your advice. 3 times a week, I work at a soup kitchen. And every tray of food I give to somebody, I picture my son and my husband in my mind's eye. I silently say their name, and I know they're smiling down on me. And she said, you know what? After about a month of doing that, I started perceiving them better. I started catching signs and signals from them. It wasn't that her son and husband weren't sending her signs before. It's that she was so engrossed in her grief, she couldn't detect them. She couldn't receive them. So you're in a similar place, my friend. And I know you struggled. You've worked so hard. You're doing better than you were a year ago. But I know you have a ways to go. So just keep doing what I know I keep telling you the same thing. Do the breath work twice a week. Get a caring listener. And the third thing would be get out of the house, make yourself, and serve others in some way. What would that be, Marina? How could you help others? It could be people or animals. Some people go to an animal care shelter, but what would work for you that you can start doing this week?
Usually people call all my life in America. I was crazy about information, and even some newcomers like they used to call me. So I was like walking encyclopedia. Any information people needed, they call me. I'm now helping one woman that my son, she was my son's co-worker. I didn't hear from her for a long time, and I got feeling that she passed because she was alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to help her several times before to get to halfway house, to get to treatment. My son helped her to get to treatment. And I did extensive search on internet. I don't know, maybe angels help me. Angels help me to find her.
Okay.
But I found her. And it happens that she lost her job, she lost her apartment, and she was working, but she was living on the street. So
Okay.
I helped her to get into halfway house. I helped her to pay initial payments to get there. So that's how much I can help. I know some moms that my son referred to me.
Yep.
They call me to talk to you for my support. That's as much as I can help. I cannot do more now.
Okay, well, email me, please, because I'd like to learn more about what you're talking about. And then I'd like to see how we could plug you in and so you can reach others and help out. But I want to give others some time. Just keep doing what I mentioned, and you're going to get there. Lynn, I would ask you to come in and share some of your wisdom, please.
Marina, Mark is right. If you can just get out and volunteer and help others, that's going to go a long way. And it does sound like you are doing some of that stuff, but maybe, I don't know, there's somebody out there that really needs you.
Lynn, unfortunately, my biggest problem, despite all these years I'm in America, I took 5 or 6 training classes with instructor to learn how to drive. The last instructor said, I cannot take your money anymore.
Okay. Where do you live, Marina?
New York City.
Okay. So
And
I'm sure there's plenty of buses and walking opportunities. Have you checked volunteer possibilities out there?
Not in Staten Island where I live. People were always using cars here. Every family have 2, 3 cars. Transportation, public transportation is very awful here.
excuse me, Marina, remind me, how long ago your son passed?
It will be 2 years in 3 weeks.
Okay, and Lynn, comment please on 2 years and what it was like for you and Jeff and what you've seen in others.
Honestly, the first year was kind of exciting because of all the signs we were receiving. And I hate to use that word exciting, but it was. It was fun to wake up every morning and see what Devin was going to give us that day. The second year, reality hit, and it was a little more challenging. So I decided, I found myself withdrawing, like you, Marina, and I decided I needed a year of saying yes. So anything that came my way, I had to say yes to, which was a bit of a challenge after a while. I did some things I were outside of my comfort zone and that I didn't want to do. I was glad when that year was over, but it was really helpful just to get me back in society and back with people.
Hmm.
So, why don't you, and could you have a neighbor you could invite over to for tea or chit chat with?
No, I have enough chit chat. Psychiatrist, psychotherapist, and grief counselor. I have enough chat.
Okay, so
And
you
one
got
small digit mark about
Okay,
volunteering. I was on a conference last week, Compassionate Friends, because I'm in that group too.
okay.
And I share information about helping parents heal with everyone I could reach.
I
good.
appreciate
People
that. Have you
started.
called? How about a caring listener? Have you tried that?
I tried it my first year, and then after 2 unsuccessful attempts to reach counselor when I needed, I stopped this. And besides, I have very good grief counselor who came through the same loss that I did. She studied at David Kessler courses. She took his grieving classes, and we are very good. And she was volunteering at that conference.
Okay, we want to let others
I'm
ask.
sorry.
It's okay. You don't have to. The other thing, I know I've suggested this to you before, Marina, use that ask your soul technique. It's under the audio programs, Ask Your Soul. So you quiet your brain and then your inner self and also the wisdom of your angels and guides and master teachers and the light. So use the Ask Your Soul and just ask, how can I feel better? What can I do? And then see what pops in and follow up on it. We've got to go, but be sure to email me if you have any follow-up questions. We're going to get you there, okay? You're my personal project. Oh, I got her to smile. Okay, Angela, you were up, dear.
Hi, thank you, Dr. Mark. This is my first time here in your group. I've been with Helping Parents Heal for about 3 years, but to be honest, there's been so much offered, it overwhelmed me. So I
Right.
had to step back and find smaller group that I could get grounded and strengthened. And so I'm really just starting to get involved with all the different classes HPH offers. I appreciate your suggestion about volunteer, and I want to say for me that looks a little bit different. My daughter Rebecca went missing 4 years ago yesterday, and so yesterday was pretty rough. But and a body was found about a year later. But we used to do horses together when she was growing up, and God, the universe, opened up an opportunity for me. I couldn't afford equine therapy, but I was buying eggs from a local homeowner, and I noticed she had 2 horses. And I asked her, "What are you doing with those?" And she goes, "Nothing. I have no time to work with them." And I said, "Can I groom them?" And she goes, "Of
Yeah.
course." So she thinks I'm doing her a favor by grooming
Oh,
her horses, but she's doing me a favor because I feel Rebecca's spirit all around me when I'm grooming those horses. And and horse therapy, equine therapy is amazing. I mean, you can tell a horse anything and they've got such a huge soul, they can handle it. And, and so, and, but through that, it seems like my neighbor, she needed help with her dog. So we started pet sitting her dog. And then now this same lady with the horses needs help with all her chickens and her dogs and all her farm animals. So I go over to help. And I'm doing it for a dozen eggs a week. I mean, but I'm really doing it just because it fills my heart. And Rebecca loves nature. And so I try to spend as much time as I can out in nature. So I appreciate, that I know I'm on the right path with that. Um, it it
wow.
really does fill me. And I'm hoping to be a foster mom to dogs. My daughter loved dogs, and we're not ready to get we had to put a dog down that she gave us 2 years after she passed. We're not ready to like make that commitment, but I can do a foster.
Yeah. Beautiful example of a can-do attitude. And you remind me of many years ago, I asked, you remember Wayne Dyer and Bernie Siegel, who were giants at the time, and I wanted to reach more people around the world. So I went up to each of them independently and asked the same question. I said, how did you get to the point where you're so well known and helping so many people? And they each said the same thing. They said, every morning I just say a prayer and say, God, show me how I can help. It's real simple, right? And
Mhm.
I was reminded of that story when you started talking because you basically did the same thing, whether you said those words outwardly or not. And guess what? Life shows you how you can help. And I can see by your looks how it's energizing you.
It is. And the amazing thing too is that Cindy, my friend who has the horses in the farm, her daughter died by suicide, I'd say about 8 years before my daughter passed. And then recently, very recently, her husband also died. And it's been such an amazing journey to be able to sit with each other and not fix anything, but just be there.
Great. And you're doing so well that I'm going to use this moment for a little teaching moment for everyone. So she died by a suicide. No, she didn't. Her body died by a suicide, but she can't die, and neither can her husband, and neither can anyone. No one really dies. So that's such an important distinction. It's just a little change in words, and initially it might feel cumbersome, um, but I say, yeah, he passed on. You could say she passed on by a suicide, but no, no one really
Okay,
dies. So
I
yeah,
accept that.
yeah,
Thank you.
you're doing so well. I just thought I'd give you one more little thing to work on.
Sure. I'm always willing. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing and that beautiful background. May I ask where that is?
That is from the beautiful state of Montana. That is the state my daughter lost her life in the physical form.
Ah, you see, you caught yourself. Good job. Yeah, lost her life. That's impossible. You can't lose your life. Life is forever. But
Yes.
boy, I tell you, the kid in me wants to go down with a fly rod and just fish for some trout. What a beautiful piece of water. Well, she
Yeah.
sure picked a great place to transition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
God bless you. If there's any other way we can help, let us know.
Thank you.
All right, Nilu, you're up, dear.
Hi, Mark. Good evening. Firstly, thank you so much for helping me. I didn't start doing HPH, especially your meetings that I regularly now love to attend. I I thought, oh, what's going to happen? It's going to be a group of grieving parents, and we're all going to sit and cry and mourn and groan. But that's not it, and that's the reason why I'm here. Um, my son, I lost my son next month on the 15th. It will be 3 years that he's gone. Unfortunately, the day he passed is the day of, in my religion, our New Year. So I will never ever celebrate New Year again.
I'm sorry, say that it's your New Year, you say?
It's my New Year. So
Okay.
it used to be a day of happiness, rejoicing, going out for dinner, lunch, whatever festivities from the time he was born. And unfortunately, he passed on 15th of August, which in my religion is a New Year. It's like Christmas and a New Year.
Okay, so
So
because I've worked with you before, so I feel comfortable enough, and I know you're a strong, loving person. I feel like I can do this. So instead of letting you carry on with your preface, let's rewind a little bit. You said you lost your son.
yes.
And I mean, he's been in touch with you, right?
He is, yes.
Yeah.
Mark, as soon as my son passed, my grandmother had an ND, so I always believe there's life after, you're gone from here. It's not going to be the end. So that's when I started finding and thinking of ways to connect with my son directly. I may
Okay.
not see him, but I will at least know
Okay.
what's
So
happening.
you didn't really lose him. So now let's go back to your religion's New Year. You say, unfortunately, so you can't celebrate anymore, but is there a little adjustment you can make and say, wow, how cool that he passed on such a special day. Thank you, God, for for that, or how cool, son, that you did that. Can you adjust? Because see, the only problems that exist are in our minds. It's our lack of thinking. Somewhere said, I think it was, I don't remember, one of the Unity ministers, they said, our job is not to set things right so much as to see things right. So with that suggestion, go ahead.
Okay. I will try that honestly this year. I'll do whatever I want to do. Normally I put a cake and I celebrate him on that day, but I will try to do that this year. The other thing I started doing, Mark, after losing him, 2 months after losing him, I started
Hold on. I got to stop you again. You just said
Okay,
losing him twice
sorry.
in 6 words. You said losing twice. Could you roll back and start that sentence again, please?
Okay, so I will definitely from this year celebrate New Year with my son and my family and all of us. In some way, I will definitely make sure he's part of it. I want him to be part of it.
He will be.
Yeah, and I do feel he would be happy about it because when he comes through in mediumship readings with me, he's always very excited. And one thing just came to my mind. My husband has started doing the second shift, or the night shift as we call it here, because we have 3 dogs and I hate being alone. But each time when my husband's away and I feel scared at home, when I pass my son's room to go down the stairs to the kitchen, I get his scent. It's like, Mom, don't be scared. I'm here. It's that, I don't know,
Nice.
it's a sort of strength that he gives me. And I say, yeah, you're here with me. Okay. But just the scent of him that started coming only on the nights when I'm alone at home, and then gives me comfort that he's there.
Nice.
So,
And And Nilu, I have to tell you, I keep getting like cold chills and goosebumps. Still, my mind is still on he must have been a special one to transition, to change worlds on such an auspicious day in your religion. So yeah, run with that. I mean, you're doing so well, and that's why I point out just these little, because as you know, what we think affects how we feel and what we believe. So if we can just catch that little step and adjust our thinking, Lynn, get ready, because I know you know some wisdom about this. If you can just catch those words, like someone did earlier, she caught herself, and that
Yes.
makes such a difference. Lynn,
Okay.
what would you like to share about that, please?
I'm sorry, Mark, I was in the chat box and I wasn't totally listening to you, Neela, so I'm
Okay.
sorry.
That's okay. That's your job. But we're talking about the power of words. And in other words, instead of letting yourself say, well, we lost him, and it's unfortunately passed on this day, it's just a little bit of a shift to finding the joy and the power and the blessing in that. What have you learned in that regard?
Yes, Neela, it really does make a big difference. And we live our life like our son Devin is with us right here, sitting here, chatting with us, eating with us, teasing us, guiding us every single day. And it brings us joy. And if you can kind of get that in your head, and I did hear the beginning about you celebrating or not celebrating this holiday. Mark is right. I mean, what a gift that your son chose to transition on such a day, and you should be celebrating that.
Okay. I never thought of it that way, but I see that. Yeah. Okay.
By the way, I've told this story before, but I'm never tired. So I had met Lynn and her husband Jeff years ago, but just a little bit at some HPH meetings out in Phoenix. And so I was, but we certainly weren't in touch or weren't friends yet then. And so I was outside weeding. We live on 5 acres. And so I'm just down in the dirt weeding. And all of a sudden I thought, I ought to call Jeff and Lynn. I haven't talked to him haven't seen him for a year. It was just strongly on my mind. And so I did. I said, haven't talked to you for a while. How's it going? I said, my spidey sense told me I should call you. And they both said, oh my God, it's Devin. They call him the puppet master because the way he controls people. They said today was his earthly birthday. And he's so identified with everything Spider-Man. I mean, Spider-Man was his thing. And they said, for you to call out of the blue, been a long time, on his birthday and tell us your spidey sense was up, that has to be Devin. You remember that, Lynn?
I do remember that. And all of our kids are our puppet masters. We just have to be in tune with it. They are there with us every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a tweak, it's a shift, but once you get it, and for Marina and the others, it's just that little bit of turn. But once you get it, boom, there's peace, joy, love, gratitude, and sensing your children more right there beside you. Hey, I keep interrupting you, but this has been such a wonderful teaching opportunity. Anything else you'd like to share?
No, thank you so much, Mark and Lynn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Neil, I'm sorry, what was your son's name?
Kayzad, Kayzad. We used to call him Kay.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And where do you live?
I'm in Toronto, Canada.
Okay. You just
Yes.
have that beautiful accent, so.
Oh, thank you. It's the Indian in me. I'm originally from India, but yeah, thank you.
All right.
And that background, by the way, I like that one even better than the hooded figure.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
It makes it kind of hard to talk even. It's so
Thank you.
powerful. All right, who is up next? Liza?
Hi. Just to continue with what you were all discussing, my son Lucas this Christmas will be 2 years since he transitioned. And of course, for the first several months, my immediate thoughts were, I'll never celebrate Christmas again. Even though I have a daughter and a husband, I just couldn't I couldn't even imagine it. And Christmas is huge in my family and in this world. So Christmas is everywhere. So I said I can either hide from it, which is impossible, or I can remember that he's still here with us. So we celebrate him. We put up his little Christmas tree. We decorate his kitchen chair where he would sit, and Christmas is not the same. It's different, but we incorporate him into everything. All of his ornaments, new ornaments go up on the Christmas tree, and we do the best that we can. Is it easy? No, but we do it. And we do it in honor of him. I do it because I have a teenage daughter, but I do it because he's still here. And I always hear him say, okay, Mom, I'm still going to be, I don't say he would have loved this or he would have done this with us. I say he's right here. And is it the same? No. Is that ache still there when Christmas comes? When Christmas will come along this year, that ache will be there. But I insist upon making sure that we celebrate him. And I did hear, like you had said, Mark, people did say to me, well, he must have been a real awakened soul for him to suddenly become very ill on Christmas and transition at that special time. And I have to believe that.
Yeah.
So and that's what gets me through.
Well, you are always right there, Liza. Thank you. It's simple, but it's so powerful. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Marianne. And this will have to be the last one, I think. Do we have to stop at 8, Lynn?
Okay, so what I really like to share is my personal experience. I feel like very fortunate because I've been working really hard with your video on the afterlife facilitation, and also Andrea Corey's sound healing. I listen to them I listen to them a lot, and by doing that, it's increased my dream visitations tremendously. I have almost 2 visitations a month so far.
Good.
So I thought I'll just share that with others so that they could also do that, and that's a wonderful way to connect with our children. It gives you it's so real, a dream visitation. It may be just a few seconds, but it's absolutely powerful, and they're right there with you.
Thank you for sharing that. And I love the way some of you have come together and make suggestions to help others. That's the power of this team. Thank you very much, Marianne.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right. And just in the nick of time somehow. All right. Remember again, we're here for you. We have the resources. Reach out. Let us know what you need. We went over a bunch of them. Mark at soulproof.com. We'll see you in 2 weeks. We'll do the next experiential session. And I did not look up what that's going to be, but it'll be in the HPH. And then remember, if you want to join us, it's called now Greater Reality Healing, Living, and Helping, is next Sunday. And you can learn about that in article number 131 at soulproof.com. I love you all. We're going to get through this together. Thank you for shining. The world certainly needs it. Take care. See you soon.
Thank you, Mark. And there's several meetings right after this if you guys are interested in them. Check the HPH event page.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Love you guys. Thanks. Bye, Mark.
Now. See you, Cheryl. I love to see that smile, girl. One second, I can't hear you.